Hey everyone, welcome back to Prove to Others. I'm Miles, and I'm here today to talk about my weekend trip in Toronto this past weekend. So, just before I was about to record this video, I was kind of making sure I was trying to prep up and everything, even though, if you know me by now, my videos are just kind of like on the go, no prepping, just kind of like what comes out of my mouth and brain. Um, I'm thinking I would like to make this as kind of like an educational video for people on the spectrum who are a little bit timid of like traveling, like going on an airplane and just kind of like exploring somewhere new, somewhere that they would like to go. Now, Toronto, I mean, I've been to Toronto many times before. Um, in the past, and I've done these trips by myself most of the time. So I'm gonna take my weekend in Toronto and I'm gonna put it as a educational purpose for those on the spectrum. So let's dive right in. So, like, before you decide where you wanted to go, in this case, Toronto, for me, is that you always want to make sure you book your flight first, because you just want to make sure you actually have your transportation to get there, um, and you have your itinerary either through email or whatever way you get it. In this part is that when whatever day you have your flight book to go to whatever city you're going to, um, you'll get an email within 24 hours before you board, so you can get yourself checked in. In this case, where airlines here still require you to show um, a COVID card, which is kind of like your vaccination status, and so like you can either upload it, or if you don't have um, any way on your computer or phone to upload it when you do check in, you can always bring your card when you go to the airport, and when you could also check in at the airport, but it's a lot easier to do it online. Um, but even then, if you showed up with your actual like vaccination card and you um, take it over to the desk when you check in this case with me, it's that they'll highlight kind of like on the boarding ticket. It was like a fee 19, and they highlight it, so when you do get in, go to your gate, you don't have to show your card to the person that's going to let you go on to like the tarmac. Also, when you do get yourself checked in, most likely um, not through online way, but more so when you are physically at the airport, they do require you to show some proof of ID. It could be like a driver's license, a government ID, a passport, or whatever. Even though passport is if you were traveling outside the country. So like when you're done your check-in, you go through security. Now security is very tight. Now it's actually it's not too bad with security, just as long as you don't have any medals on you, you're not wearing a belt when you go through the screen, going through um, there's like this big like kind of like doorish thing you that kind of like senses if you have any medals on you, to just kind of like double check to make sure you didn't miss anything. So usually through airport security, you put like whatever bag you have, your carry on, you put like your code in, you take off your belt, you take whatever medals you put inside the tray. But if you were bringing like electronics, like for example, like a laptop or like a iPad or tablet, phone can go in with like your codes and all that, but make sure it's kind of like presently like out of a bag or whatever. But yeah, most electronics that you would have another tray just because they just want to just make sure there's like nothing in there that would um, um, anything could like happen. Um, so so when you put all your things in the trays, or how many trays you needed, you go walk through this little door, which is not really a door, it's more like an opening with the sensors. You get you go through. Security guy would just kind of like bring you in, like kind of like make you come in like this. You walk through, you hear no beep, you're good. If you hear a beep, they will kind of get like this wand and they'll just do the whole like up and down, so I would make sure, just to double check to make sure that there's nothing present. So after security, you're all free to go to your gate. So when you look at your boarding pass, it will say what gate and what time that your flight's going to be at. So with me, where I'm flying out of Halifax Stanfield, my flights are usually just like at the other end of the building. And what's great is that um, with Halifax, it's a small airport, so there's only like maybe like a couple restaurants, quick and easy. There's also like a Tim Hortons, or I don't think there was a Starbucks, but there's like Booster Juice, and there's like little shops that you can get food and get drinks. I should point out the fact that I forgot to mention with the security part, if you have any liquids, you can't bring those in. Like if you have a bottle of water, you have to leave that behind. If you have a coffee, you gotta leave that behind. Um, I'm not 100% sure why, but just more so it's like security reason for that. So when you get to your gate, when that time comes, about maybe 5 minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes before boarding time happens, they'll make an announcement just to make sure everyone should be at the gate ready to go. They will call when you book your flights. They will, like, depends on where you are on the plane. They will tell you what zone you're going to be in. So most times there's only 3 zones. So there's zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Now I was at the back of the plane for both flights to and from, so I was considered like zone 1. And so when they call during boarding time, they will call, okay, zone 1's going to board first, then zone 2, zone 3. Oh, actually beforehand they will do they'll do women and children and people with disabilities first, or I should say in this case people who need assistance to board on first. So when your zone call gets called up for whenever, you show the person at the desk your boarding pass, your ID, and you're all free to go to walk on the tarmac and get loaded onto the plane, and you get to sit at your seat that you were assigned to, or if you bought your seat, because you can also do that too when you book your flight. You can pick whatever seat you want. Now with Swoop, it does cost extra. I think every airline costs extra anyway, but at least with Swoop you do pay extra. So there was an option that you could just like leave it, like didn't want to pay, and they'll just select for you. And most of the time, I guess now is they're gonna just put you in the back of the plane. So once when everybody and yourself are loaded onto the plane, you just it may take like 10 or maybe 15 extra minutes for the cabin crew and for the pilots to get ready for takeoff and make sure the plane leaves. I will say this: as I get older, I have started to become more intimidated by flights, and it's more so because of turbulence. Now, if you're not sure what turbulence is, like for those who have traveled, or those who sorry sorry for those who are not um uh cat who aren't familiar with turbulence, is that what are you doing? Um, that's when the plane, it when it's up in the air, it's the change of air or the wind, and it'll make the plane kind of like bump a bit. There are um, different types of turbulence. So there's like one, two, three, and because like one is fine, and number three and two, three could be a bit severe. So three could be like a major storm. One is just kind of like just regular, like change of air, change of wind inside, like up in the air. And that's what I am completely sorry. That was my brother's cat, and he can be a little prick at times. So cute, but a prick. So I had to get him out, and I got distracted. I get distracted so easy. So, anyways, I was saying with turbulence, like one is kind of like, kind of bumps a little bit, and then the number three is kind of like if the plane were to go near a storm or whatever, then it's going to be uncontrollable for pilots. Um, Now, turbulence is not bad. The only thing that you would get injured from a turbulence is if you didn't wear your seatbelt and you just bonk your head on the roof or whatever. But turbulence is not. It's not. It's not going to hurt the flight. It's not going to, um, do anything wrong. So don't think of turbulence as like, the plane's gonna lose control. It's gonna like crash. No. Um, I've seen Discovery Channel back in the day when they had like the episodes when the plane crashes and all that. I think that's kind of like getting to me now because where I've seen it so much on TV, not by choice. It's just whoever, my parents could just have it on TV and they just have it. It's like, okay, now that kind of makes me more nervous. But there's even videos like on YouTube and and other places that you have pilots talking about turbulence, and they're really informative about that. So I wouldn't worry about turbulence, especially flying around Canada. So it's um, but yeah, that's really the only thing that kind of gets me nervous is that. But other than that, um, that's all what it is. So going in the air and you're about to descend into whatever city. So when I was descending into Toronto, it was actually quite smooth and it was a nice, like a super nice day. You land at the airport, they'll take the uh, take the little tunnel thing and they will connect it to the plane. Um, so when you get up from your seat, you can walk. You walk off the plane, you go into the tunnel, and you're right at the airport. And all you really do is if you had a carry on. Now in this case, I had a carry on. I just try to walk myself to the train that takes me to downtown Toronto, which is called the Up train, known as Union Pearson train. And then you're kind of like, and then you're basically free from the um, airplanes and airport until you fly back home, which you basically repeat that same process of checking in, going to security, and get into your gate, get on the plane, and then you take off. So when I was in Toronto for the weekend, all I really did was just did the usual. What I usually do in Toronto is just explore downtown and try to explore different areas of the city. My I actually stayed at an Airbnb, which you could book online. So it was in Etobicoke, and it was pretty close to the airport, and it wasn't too bad of an area where I was in. Um, but yeah, no, I was um, like on the Saturday, I woke up nice and early, got a nice shower. I wore my Toronto Arrows jersey. This is just a polo I just put on for the video. Um, so I had my jersey on. I took the bus and I took the train down to downtown. Got myself a little breakfast, and then I started just to walk around. And even I rented myself a little bike share, which is kind of like what's pretty cool with downtown Toronto is that they have they have like these different bike stations that you can rent bikes from, and but you obviously it charges on your card, and it's like I think it's like 350 for half hour, but it kind of like but like you do get charged a little bit extra every half hour. So what I did was I rented out a bike. I seen the time. It's like, you know what? Um, my old club and provincial rugby coach um, had his club was playing just down in the Balmy Beach area. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go just ride my bike or ride the bike down all the way to the Balmy Beach and just see some rugby before I went to see the Arrows game. And what was really cool because I went through King Street East all the way up to Queen Street. That's how I was able to get the Balmy Beach. And it was cool because I've never seen an area with so many food options and just like these little mini like mom and pop shops in that area. Like it was very neat. Never seen so many in a kind of like a long but also small distance, if you know what I mean. So when I got there, when I got to the field, their women's team was playing, and they were against so the rugby club is called the Balmy Beach Rugby Club, and they were playing against the Oshawa Vikings Rugby Club, and then come to find out that the Oshawa Vikings Rugby Club has a mixed abilities team, which is people with like different abilities coming together, and you know they're playing. So it's like you have like different people all around just coming together and just playing rugby, having fun. It's really inspiring that they have that. So definitely like that's awesome. But they didn't play. They had their main teams play when I was there. So and it was pretty good club rugby to see. Got to meet up with my former coach. He was going to go to the Arrows game with friends as well. So only seen him for like a minute or so. Then I just kind of stood in the stands, watched the game, and then once when the women's game was done, I only stayed for maybe about 10-15 minutes of the men's game. Then I had to go back to Toronto because I had to charge my phone because from my last video I wanted to do a vlog of my trip, but the problem was my phone is old, and it's actually my brother's old phone, so my battery dies pretty quick, or like it like the battery level like goes down quite quick. So I wasn't able to do any vlogging when I was in Toronto, but just for that reason, and I had to go back to Union Station, and I had to charge my phone every single time. And now I will say this: if you're a hockey fan, you're like, especially a Leafs fan, that night was also Game 7 of the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Tampa Bay Lightning. So, and just before I went to the stadium where the Arrows played, people in Leafs and Lightning jerseys, only there have been a few, they were starting to like pile right into Union Station, which was pretty cool to see. It was a cool setup that they did. So even though I wasn't there, but it looks like it was a good time. Unfortunately, not the results that the Leafs wanted. I mean, it's Game 7, what you kind of expect from a Leafs playoff game. As a former Leafs fan myself. Yeah, no, like, when I was done with downtown, I made my way up to, so they play in York University, the Toronto Arrows, and I'm going to do a little bit of a separate video here shortly, talking about my experience at the Arrows game and kind of a review of the game. So really I didn't do too much in Toronto, but that's all I really had to have to say. So stay tuned. I'm about to record my Toronto Arrows home game experience. So if you like this video, click like and subscribe to the video. But yeah, I will see you guys, as you should say, see you all in a bit for the Arrows review. Okay? See ya.